Well, hello everyone. You know when you see me, you know what time it is. It's not a La Arvy exercise video, so it's got to be a cooking with A La Arvy session and episode. Yes, yes, yes. So hope everyone is doing well. Today I am going to be making some curry chicken with some curry rice and some curry green beans. Yes, you heard it. Everything curry down today. All right, so I'm gonna take you on my journey, and guess what? I remembered to start videoing before I started cooking. So that means you get to see everything as it's happening. Okay, all right, so stay tuned. Coming up next. For starters, I have my green beans done, ends done cut and done cleaned, so they are waiting for next steps. Here I have my chicken thighs done cleaned, soaking in some diluted vinegar water solution. And then of course over here I have, this is going to be my pot for my curry chicken. I have in here some herbs, and of course if you've been following me all along, you know that I cut everything up and I freeze it so that it makes it easier for me to cook when it's time to just start putting things together. So of course you see the green peppers. There's also red peppers and orange peppers and some yellow pepper. Then you have some thyme. There's some other herbs that are included in here. You see some garlic as well. I have this in the curry chicken pot. I have a little bit also in what's going to be the rice pot, and a little bit of that also in the green beans pot. Okay, so let's show you what's coming up. And I'm going to be using Uncle Ben's rice today, but of course, everything got to wash, so I'm going to show you what I do with that. And then as far as seasoning, I have my curry powder. I have my thyme. I have my turmeric. I have my cumin. And of course, my A La Arvy seasoning. So let's get started. Start with my beans before I put my hand in any chicken. So obviously I'm start with the things that don't need to have my hand cleaning stuff with potential for E. coli stuff, right? Contamination. So anyway, my A La Arvy seasoning, I'm starting with that. I'm going to go ahead and use my hands, by the way, for today, because we're going to be doing some kneading. No rings, okay? No rings and stuff. Make sure your hands are clear from all jewelry so you can properly do what you need to do. All right, so I'm going to use my hands now to season this up properly, and then I'm going to add a little bit of curry and stuff. I'll show you I'll show it to you in a minute. So this has A La Arvy seasoning on there, and then I'm going to do about I would say a little more than a half a tablespoon of curry. I'm gonna season that into here. Okay. All right. So I added that in here, and so now I'm going to put this on that back stove. I'm going to pour this into this pot here. All right, let me do this so I don't make a mess. I'll be right back. All right, I've poured it in here, and then for the container, I just added a little bit of water so I can get some of the remnants of there, and then I'm going to put it into this pot. Right. So everything's in there, and the herbs and stuff that was frozen that I put in there needs to defrost a little bit more. So anyway, I'm going to turn the pot on, and I'm going to let this simmer for a while. Once this simmers for a while, then I'm going to stir it up properly with the herbs that are on the bottom there. Okay, so I'm going to cover it. I'm going to, where did I put that pot cover? There we go. All right, so I'm going to cover it. And all of this, as you can see, was there without the stove being on. Then I put the stove now on medium. All right. Next up. So I changed stove. I put this one on the other eye instead because I wanted a bigger eye for this pot with the rice. So as you can see, it's on medium. Both of them are on medium. Yeah. So this is going to be for the rice here. Let's put this light on here. So this is going to be for the rice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water to the bottom here. And then I'm going to add some more seasoning and stuff. Let it boil up a little bit. Let me get the curry as well. And some A La Arvy seasoning, of course. I'll be back. Put some A La Arvy seasoning in here. Get some curry. Some curry right in here. That's it for now. Stir you up. And of course, let it heat up. Let it heat up some, and then I'm gonna taste it and stuff before I add some more water and then start putting in the rice, okay? I'm waiting for it to boil. I'm gonna add a little bit of turmeric in here. It's almost starting to boil. All right. So we have a little bit of a boil going on there. So I'm going to just taste, make sure that the basic flavors are there before I add some more water and add some rice in. There. All right, let's taste. Tasting good, tasting good. I'm just going to add a little bit of thyme. Just there we go. Just a little bit of thyme in here. I'm gonna add a little bit more A La Arvy seasoning. Okay. A little more turmeric. All right. And just a dash of curry. Okay, now I'm going to add some more water, and I'm going to add some water up to, oops, looks like I'm spilling the water. I'm going to add some more water up to just about that first little round thing right there. All right, I'm sorry if I'm spilling water on you. I'm missing the bucket and spilling water all over the place, am I? Okay. All right, stove, calm down. There we go. Feeling better? All right. Okay. All right. Some water still under the pot. All right, let me go clear out that water properly, but you see how much water I've added in? I'm gonna taste it again, get the flavor that I want before adding in the rice, okay? Okay, I added actually a little bit of parsley, chopped up parsley in here, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt actually. And then I'm gonna stir this up and wait for it to boil before I add the rice. But I'm going to taste it one more time first to make sure it has all the flavors that I want it to have. Okay, I added some black pepper to it because, you know, I'm looking for a certain flavor in my curry rice. So anyways, I added some black pepper to this mixture. And now it's good to go. So I'm just going to wait for it to boil, boil, boil. And then I'm going to add my rice. All right, while I'm waiting for the rice to boil before putting the rice in, the water to boil before I put the rice in, see what we got here. All right. I'm just going to stir this around, and I need both hands again, so I'm going to just stir this around, and then I'm going to check it out and see how much more time it should have, okay? All right, there we go. I'm going to let this stay here and cook for another 5 to 8 minutes, and then I'll turn it off. All right, this water is ready for the rice, so let me show you how I prepare my rice. All right, so I'm going to do one strainer, start off with one strainer of rice, and of course, you know, I always have to rinse everything, so I'm rinsing my rice in this strainer. Makes it a little bit more efficient, and make sure that whatever it is that's not supposed to be there is drained off, you know, nothing too crazy. All right, that's good enough. All right, after I'm just just shaking it, getting out all the excess water. And that's then I bring this over here, and I'm gonna add this to here. All right, I added it to here now. I need to see if I need to add any more rice. So the key to knowing if you need, because I don't measure anything, right? The key to seeing if I need to add any more rice or not is when you lift it up and you go around and see how much is there. Okay, see? All right, so you don't want any soggy rice, yeah? So I'm gonna add just about maybe a quarter of that strainer more of rice, yeah? This is what I call about a quarter more of this rice. And of course, you gotta wash this one too. All right, okay. Same process, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, get all the extra water off. And then, time to transfer it here. Stir that around. All right, stir you around, stir you around. All right. Okay. Off to the next step of this process. So let this here boil until it gets to the point of having, I'll show you, where it's a little bit almost, almost cooked. And then I'll show you what I do next, okay? All right. Time to turn this one off now. So this one's ready. Turn it off and let it stay in that stove and just simmer down a little bit. Okay, so next step, you see when the rice gets to like on the top here, you want to check it. You know what I normally do is check to see the granularity, right? So I check to see, make sure I can put. All right, so now it's ready for the next step. On the next step entails, and you have to make sure now, you have to be very careful. You can't let it have too much water in it before you do that. But you see how it's at the top like this? You see that? You see that? If you want to make sure, wait until it gets like that before you go to this next step. All right. So now the next step is to turn that stove off. Take it off of that eye. And cover it and leave it just like that. The steam will cook the rest, okay? I'll show you next when it's done. All right, folks, time to tackle this chicken thighs. As I mentioned already, it's already been cleaned. So this is some vinegar water, all the fat, excess fat. I like the skin on it, so I left the skin on, okay? So it's time to pour this out, put some fresh water in, clean it up some more, and then start the seasoning. All right, so I've already rinsed it off. And now you see I transferred it to another bowl, but I'm going to season it first with some A La Arvy seasoning, and then I'm going to show you what I do next. All right, as you can see, A La Arvy season, and now I'm going to add some stuff. So I'm going to add some curry, and I'll probably add some more curry to that, but you'll see what I do with the rest anyhow. And then I'm going to add some cumin. Then I'm going to add some turmeric. Okay, let's mix this on up and I'll be back. All right, as you can see, this is nicely seasoned up. Now I'm gonna let this sit here and marinate for a little bit while I start my pot. Okay, so turning this stove on to medium, and as you can see, some of my herbs still have not melted yet. And as you can see here, I've added also, of course you saw when I added the thyme, but I've also, you see this right here, I've also added a little bit of hot sauce, okay? So I've added a little bit of hot sauce to what this is. I'm gonna stir this around and wait for it to start to boil. It's mixed up nicely now, so just waiting for it to boil, start to sizzle a little bit before I add the chicken and stuff. Right, and the rice it's finished. And just so you can see, look at that. See that? Yep. The rice is ready to go. All right. It's time to go ahead and do this one here now as it's ready. Just for you to see the rice in more detail. All right, this is boiling nicely, but before I add the chicken, I'm just gonna add a little bit of seasoning to this, a little bit of A La Arvy, a little bit of turmeric. Come on, turmeric. Oops, a little bit of curry. And some cumin. Okay, now I'm going to mix this up and then add the chicken. I added and mixed in all those things. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this. Not too much, just a little for now. And by the way, I added some black pepper in here as well too, just a little bit of black pepper. All right. Now time to add the chicken. All right, brought the chicken over here. So I'm gonna add the chicken in this pot one by one. And so what I'm actually gonna do is to make sure that the skin is on the bottom. So the skin is like this, and then I put it in one by one, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with all the rest of them, and I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, I added chicken into here, and I have some leftovers, so I'm gonna put these in a freezer bag and save these up for another time. But this is where we are, so now I'm gonna cover this pot and let it cook for about 30 minutes before I start doing anything else to it. So now you know, well, I've already Ziplocked this. Now it's time to put it in the freezer. But now, you don't want to waste all this goodness, right? So, of course, I'm going to add some water to this. Get all the rest drainage. And then this is going to go into my pot. All right. See what this is doing. And this is added the water in here. So, just going to pour this in there. Save some of this goodness. It still needs to cook, so you can't go tasting all kind of stuff because you're sure enough gonna get E. coli and whatever else. This needs to cook in, okay? Turn you back over. What you doing flipping for? All right, let this continue to boil. Another 25 minutes or so. All right, I'll be back. All right, and while I'm waiting for that pot to the chicken to cook, and go to the next step, I'm gonna start cleaning up my mess. Because you use chicken now, y'all better don't be playing around. You got to clean it with Clorox and soap, okay? Even though you had it in bowls, stuff may have spilled around the place. You need to clean it with Clorox and soap. So I'm gonna go do that while I wait for the next step. All right, y'all, this is finished. I just keep telling y'all how much I wish this was smell-o-vision. But look at that. Ooh, look at that. Oh, yes, look at that. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Now, if you want to thicken that up, you can thicken that up. And I've shown you in one of my other curry videos how to thicken it up, or rather just any kind of gravy, how to thicken it up. But for me, I want it just like this. So, all right, I'm gonna get it into other containers and go ahead and plate. Before I plate, let me show you the stuff. This is the rice. This is the green beans. And this is the chicken. Remember I showed y'all the trick to having a nice, pretty plating of your rice. Remember that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I wish I could smell. So yeah, so I'm not going to fill it up all the way to the top like I did the last time when I showed y'all this. But anyway, you're going to fill this up as much as you want, depending on how much rice you think you want, right? I'll do just a little bit in the corner here. Okay, so it's not fully to the top. So you're going to do like that. Do like this and then flip it over. I'll show you. Flip it over. What corner do you want the rice? Move mine over just a little tad here. And then you're going to just go circle, 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 circle. Circle, circle, and push it in the corner that you want. And voila. You have a nicely shaped pile of rice, I guess. All right, let me finish plating. Plate number 1 is ready. Check that out. And also too, we're gonna wash it down with Aloma's natural juices. This one is beets ginger flavor. So check out Bridget if you're interested in any of her juices. Yep, and here we are. This is plate number 2. And this is the final plate for tonight. Plate number 3. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Cooking with A La Arvy, where we have the curried chicken thighs, we have the slightly curried green beans, and the curried rice. And that's what's for dinner tonight, folks. All right, until next time, you take care and hope to see you soon. Hope you've enjoyed all of these sessions that I'm doing, and I'm hoping that you're trying them out in your own kitchen. So let me know in my comments section if you've tried it out and how it worked for you, or even send me a picture. That'll be nice. All right, y'all take care. Until next time. Peace. Sparkles. All right, time to eat.